Shabbat Shalom, and welcome again to the Lehrman Chapel here at Temple Ohev Shalom as we celebrate Shabbat together. Myself, Rabbi Peter Kessler, and our accompanist and musical director, Prestia. Just want to remind you again in these trying times that I'm always available for you if you need me. Send me an email at rabbi@ohevshalom.org. Call my cell phone, 717-460-6444. I'm always around. All right, let's begin our Shabbat observance by lighting the candles and turning to page 120. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Page 126. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, and my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other and to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. L'chadodi, page 138. Baruch is on page 146. Baruch mariv aravim, bechokma poteach she'arim, uvidfuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, bamishmarotehem barakia kirtsono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipane choshech v'choshech mipane or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Page 151. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema is page 152. Page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha ve'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha V'dibarta bam, b'shiftecha b'beitecha, u'v'lechtecha v'aterech, u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam leot ayadecha, v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha, u'ktabtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha. Leman tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory, may earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered, at Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Michamocha, page 158. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'akol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. V'shamru, page 162. Page 171. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God, Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levarcha b'yirah na'avod. Shalom Rav, page 178. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atah hu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atah hu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, bechol עת ובכל שעה, bishlomecha. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. We pause for a moment of silent reflection.
Shalom Aleinu ve'akol Yisrael
Shabbat Shalom. We first meet the prophet Moses when he is a baby. We see his mother, Jochebed, tenderly place him in a basket in the bulrushes at the shore of the river Nile, hoping he would be found before Pharaoh's army kills him, as they did with the other firstborn male Jewish babies. And Moses survives. He is found by the Pharaoh's daughter and raised as a prince in the palace. He becomes an advocate of the Jewish slaves and flees to Midian after he kills an Egyptian taskmaster, beating one of them. And there in Midian, he encounters a bush that burns but is not consumed. And he is called by God to lead the Israelites to the promised land to escape slavery. Moses tells God, "Do not choose me, for I am a man slow of speech. No one will understand me, and no one will follow my instructions." But God chooses Moses anyway, and he becomes the champion of the Jewish people, leading us to the promised land. And then, just prior to this week's Torah portion, Moses ascends Mount Nebo to deliver a sermon that takes 3.5 days. That sermon, delivered in 3.5 days, is the book of Devarim, which is commonly known as Deuteronomy. There are 5 books in the Torah, and we have reached the final book, which tells not a story, nor chronicles the Exodus, or dictates a plethora of rules, but is simply a sermon given by a man slow of speech, a man who thought he wasn't right for the job, a man who listened to the complaints of the Israelites for 40 years, who finally reaches the Jordan River and is told he may not cross. So he gathers his strength and he begins to speak words, Devarim. He stands above the people he loves and tries to prepare them for the final crossing and for the days and years and generations when they will inhabit the land of milk and honey and farm the land and tend the land and love the land as their own without him to guide them. Because now is the moment when Moses desperately needs to find his words, to give comfort and confidence to his people at the moment they need him the most, the moment when he is going to leave them in the hands of someone else and be laid to rest. But before he finds his solace, before he can rest, he must find the confidence that he has done his job well, and his children are prepared for what lies ahead. Moses' life has changed. He has grown from the voiceless baby to the uncertain man who tries to find his voice, to the mighty prophet, standing atop a mountain, preparing to deliver his Devarim, his words, his instructions to the children of Israel of how they are to live as the people chosen by God. Imagine Moses, 120 years of age, his sight undimmed, his strength unabated, standing tall, grasping his staff and speaking for 3.5 days with strength and vigor, a man who has found his calling and a man who has finally found his voice. What an accomplishment for a person slow of speech. A man so unsure of himself, he repeatedly questions why God would have ever chosen him for greatness in the first place. And he opens his mouth, and out comes the 5th book of the Torah, Devarim, Deuteronomy, 3.5 days of measured and clear voice, the instructions his people need in order to survive. This entire book is the moment of greatness for Moses. Robert Longley wrote in his poem called Finding Your Voice, "It used to be so easy, and then something changed, and you took for granted all that was suddenly rearranged. It's not the way you planned it, not in your wildest dreams. Cruel it is, this universe, or sometimes does it seem that you've gained a little insight despite a sense of loss. It's not unlike a ball that at times you want to toss. There is no way to view it. It all comes down to a choice, to reach within your being and find again your voice." Shabbat Shalom. We now continue with an important prayer for these uncertain times, the Mishaberach prayer, the prayer for healing that is found on page 371. We say together, Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim. We praise you, God, who heals the sick. And we all say amen. May God bring blessings to those who are sick physically and those who are sick at heart. May God bring blessings to the doctors and nurses and hospital workers who care for those who are ill. May God bring blessings to those who work hard to maintain our own safety and comfort. And may God bring blessings to us all. And we say, amen. We continue now with Aleinu on page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adonai.
Hallelujah.
593. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty, but soon it fades. Its substance is consumed and it is no more. In light we see, and in light we are seen. The flames dance and our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen, yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory, slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad yivrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechom u'vyomechon u'v'chayedecho beit Yisrael, v'galo b'zman kariv v'yimaru amen. Yehesh shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam umei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei kudsho barichu. Elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran v'yalma v'yimaru amen. Yehesh shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of us who mourn, and comfort to those who are bereaved, and we say, Amen. Adon Olam, our closing hymn, is on page 625. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem kol Yetzir Nirach, Ve'et Nesah, V'chefsacho, Now I ask God's blessings upon all of us. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, our God and God of our mothers and fathers, grant us a Shabbat that is filled with joy and rest. Grant us a week ahead that is filled with good health and peace. And grant blessings to us all. Shabbat Shalom.